On to misogyny and the latest from our illustrious Home Secretary.
Of course, Russia is the bad terrorist country in this regard, we're told. But in Britain, misogyny, as defined by the government of the day or a few backroom advisors, is likely to be equated with almost terrorism, and then in a later correction we hear that it's extremism, not terrorism. So let's bring up The Guardian here, which is likely to be the newspaper of record during this administration because of the alleged alignment between the Labour Party and The Guardian. I'm not saying that it's better or worse than the previous arrangement with the Conservatives and the Times and the Telegraph, but we need to look to The Guardian now for most of the leaks, despite what I just said about the Sunday Telegraph getting another briefing. So The Guardian here is talking about the Home Secretary, so Britain's Interior Minister, effectively only in charge of England because of devolution in this regard, wanting to stamp out the pushing of harmful and hateful beliefs. We're going to see this throughout the news in various jurisdictions. This is just yet another turn of phrase to mean we don't like it, but it's not unlawful, so we'd better ban it because we think we can. Always coming from the executive, never from the Constitution or even the legislature, let alone the courts. It's coming from the executive and a few advisors. So harmful and hateful beliefs are now going to include what they call extreme misogyny. Now, regardless of who's in office, the idea of domestic extremism as a cousin to terrorism has been around for nearly 20 years now, since my time in British intelligence, when I saw it coming in. And if you look at the byline, not the Home Secretary's or Home Office Minister's advisor's own words, but you can see that in the write-up above the image, the Guardian talks about gaps in the system, not shortcomings in the law or what is lawful or constitutional, but gaps in the system to catch people. What's going on here? A rapid review, just like that educational turbocharged review we covered, on how to flesh out a new counter-extremism strategy is the current wording, not counter-terrorism. We'll come to that in a moment. It will assess the ideological spectrum, the idea, again, of lip service, that on the left and on the right there are extremists, and in the middle is where is the place to be, and lip service paid to Islamism and far-right extremism. But here it comes that Yvette Cooper is also going on to talk about not liking women much as being extremism if it's taken far enough. In the first version of the piece, published at the weekend, the headline was "Extreme Misogyny to be treated as terrorism under UK government plans." And the Guardian corrects itself by saying, in fact, such misogyny, not defined, would be treated as extremism, not terrorism. Even the government knows it can't get away with saying that women belong in the home is terrorism at this point, under a planned review of counter-extremism strategy, and they've done some updates. Now, Tim Rusty, or Rusty's views, is not to everyone's taste, but I will bring up a bit of his blog. The link will be in the show notes as well. He takes a particularly hard line on these things, but I think that this is a bit of analysis worth concentrating on. Rusty says that this terrorism analysis, with terrorism in inverted commas because it's pseudo-terrorism, will scrutinize a particular ideological trend that Cooper believes is gaining traction, nationwide misogyny or woman-hating, which is now a personal pursuit mission with the Home Secretary, since one constituent of hers in Pontefract in Yorkshire referred to her as something I can't possibly read out, but it falls far short of unlawfulness. Ergo, says Rusty, never mind terrorism, if you read between the lines, it becomes clear that the Home Secretary is on a personal vendetta-related mission to outlaw and criminalise, all from the executive, not from the courts or the Parliament, any and all instances of self-defined misogyny. And so, Rowley is quoted again at the Metropolitan Police because he's already talked about this at London level with a misogyny squad. And Rusty points out that there's no equivalent for criminalising misandry, which is a far, I would say, bigger problem in a society like ours now, having a go at men for being men. So we talk about Rusty talks about the two-tier system. I won't read the rest out, but you see that Yvette Cooper has form, talking about advocating Brexit being extremist. And you'll recall that if you're a long-term viewer, that we played a clip of Yvette Cooper when she was in opposition, having a go at YouTube for daring to give a platform to people like Red Ice Radio. She took that very personally. I turn YouTube on and it suggests Red Ice to me. I am so shocked. Why are you allowing this? Now, I've just put this actually on the section of our front page called Stories We're Watching. If you scroll down the home page of ukcolumn.org, you'll find that. It's directly relevant. John Waters here, I won't go through it now, it's too detailed, but he brings to mind, he recalls in this article, Stephen Baskerville, an academic who specialised in North American cases. John Waters, of course, is in Ireland, and the two of them have taken the lead when it was very unpopular back in the 2000s in saying, if you are too afraid to say there's man-hatred in the court system, and in the culture, then that's the first step already conceded to what we now have, where anything you say against a female politician, which is less than glowing, will be pursued by police and people in various ministries as if it were terrorism. And if they're challenged a bit, they say, well, no, it's not terrorism, it's extremism. PeterSweden, a well-known case, a well-known tweeter, Emanuelson is his real name. He's been right on a lot, I have to say. Again, he's regarded as, sort of soft-core hard right or something like that, one step short of naughty boy. But he has got a good take on this, which is that this will be misused to jail anyone that opposes feminism, one of the core planks of state ideology at the moment and cultural mainstream ideology. He says Britain is going full Soviet. But it's not just misogyny, it's protesting and calling upon people to protest. So there was a British account run by Wayne O'Rourke on X, as we now are supposed to call Twitter, Wayne GB88, and he's just been sentenced to 3 years in prison for memes, as covered by Ian Miles Cheong, an expatriate British poster on X. In Cheong's well-worded summary, the judge decided that his humorous, snarky posts had stirred up racial hatred. Again, it's incitement, not defined, not the actual breaking of the law. The one post that got him was urging people to protest, as with these 50-year-old women in Cheshire that have been sent down for a year and a half for the same thing. Cheong says, apparently, in O'Rourke's case, telling people to protest is illegal in the UK. Here's the key bit. If a judge decides it, not the law, not even Home Office sentencing guidelines, it's a judge now deciding these things. We're back to the years leading up to 1688, really, where judges decide what the law is from the bench. O'Rourke's treatment is very inhumane, says Cheong. Now, we provide sources at UK Column, so do go and have a look at the account in question. The link I've included is the one that includes the replies by O'Rourke to other people's tweets to give a very comprehensive view to anyone who wants to look at what he was tweeting in the months and days leading up to his imprisonment. And you see if you can find anything there that is remotely unlawful or unpeaceful. It's just a typical, you get more of them in Scotland and Northern Ireland, of course, the sort of Glasgow Rangers type account where anything which is, which is woke gets lambasted. England has a lot of these accounts too. Perhaps we'll go a bit further north of the border. But this is an indication that a whole new tranche of social media is going to be outlawed across the United Kingdom.
Yes, and we come back to this term, legal but harmful, Alex, because that is basically what they're trying to bring back here through the back door without actually including it in the legislation. Okay, we'll talk about that in extra.